to the channel. If you're a fan of horror stories, you've come to the right place. On this channel, you'll find stories that are true, some are fictional, but as long as they send a chill down your spine and make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, if you like that sort of thing. A fair warning though, some stories contain graphic, violent or sexual content, so viewer discretion is advised. So without any further ado, let's get into it. My dad disappeared for 2 weeks and came back. I'm not sure if he's my dad anymore. Written by Redditor, Mr. M. How could you do this, Ethan? How? I loved you, Ethan. I gave you all I had, and in the end you do the shut up! I want a divorce. My dad stormed out of the house. I still remember that night vividly. I was 13. I was playing on my Atari as my parents started to argue. My father cheated. My mother was obviously angered. She wanted a divorce, but my dad stormed out of the house the moment she said that. A relaxing but dreadful silence filled the house. What will happen now? Will I never see my dad again? The silence was broken by my mother's soft cries. I tried to comfort her, but she just yelled at me to go back to my room. I went back to my room, sobbing quietly. I felt as if all those memories that I had with my parents were being torched right in front of me. One question repeated itself inside my head over and over again. Will I ever see my father again? I eventually stopped crying and went to bed. I woke up the next morning. It was a Saturday, so I didn't have to go to school. I put my favorite game in the Atari and started playing it. A few hours passed until I heard my mom's voice. "Breakfast's ready." I slowly got up and went to the living room. I sat on my chair as my mom placed food on the table. Instead of the regular family conversation, all I heard was dreadful silence. Without a word between me and my mother, we ate and went back to our rooms. My life went on this way until 12 days after my dad's disappearance. I was eating breakfast when I heard a knock on the door. I went to answer the door. It was our neighbor, Clara. "Oh, hi. Are any of your parents here by any chance?" "Yes, there's my mom, but she's upset." "Oh, can I talk to her?" "You! After all you've done, you still have the nerve to show up on my door? Get off my porch! Get lost!" I went back to eating breakfast as thoughts filled my head. Why did Clara knock on our door? Is Dad in danger? Isn't Dad at her house? I eventually finished my food and went back to my room. I played my Atari for a few hours until my mom knocked on my door. "Hey, sweetie. I'm sorry for being like that for the past few days. It's just... I couldn't believe your father could do this to me after all those years." "It's fine, Mom. I know how you feel." "I'm glad you do. Hey, do you want to go to the cinema?" "Are you kidding? Yes. My friends told me about a film called Star Wars. I really wanted to see it." "Come on then, get ready and come out to the car." We went to the cinema, watched a film called Star Wars and went back home. As my mother parked her car and we approached the door, we heard a woman repeatedly screaming, "Help me! Somebody! Please help me!" It sounded like it was coming from inside the house. The nearest police station was 1 hour away. My mom got a revolver she had in the car and kicked in the door to the house. I went in behind her, and what I saw still shocked me to this very day. I saw my father, or what I thought was him, eating a human corpse while repeatedly screaming, "Help!" Without any hesitation, my mother shot him repeatedly, but the gunshots did nothing. Instead of falling dead or at least getting injured, he got up and launched himself at her. I couldn't think properly, so I decided to run to my room and lock myself in. As I ran up the stairs, I heard my mom screaming and crying as the demon ripped her apart. I got into my room and locked the door behind me. I started crying as I realized what had happened. My mother was killed by my father, or whatever demon he had in him. Amidst all the chaos, I remembered I had a telephone in my room. I held back my tears and dialed 911. What is your emergency? Hello? My dad, he got possessed by a demon and killed my mom. I need you to stay calm, okay? Can you please tell us you're at... Hey, buddy. I froze in terror. The telephone fell out of my hand. Hello? Kid, are you still there? No, you're not my dad. Do you want to go to the park? Come on, buddy. Let's go to the park. Come on, buddy. Let's go to the park. He started to kick the door in while repeating that same sentence over and over again. His voice got louder with each kick. I felt like I was in a nightmare. I had a window in my room, but my room was on the second floor of our house. I had two choices: jump out the window or die. As the demon's voice got louder and his kicks got more powerful, I decided to jump. I opened my window, stood on the sill and closed my eyes. I felt my feet sliding off the windowsill as the door to my bedroom burst open. I felt a great pain as my legs hit the ground. Even with all that pain, I still carried myself up and tried to run as hard as I could. I began to run with a limp as I heard the demon let out an ear-piercing screech. I knew my life was over. I knew that he'd jump out the window and land straight on me, but surprisingly, I heard him running out of my room. So he's afraid of heights then? I said to myself. I still knew that he wanted me dead, and that he'd eventually run out the front door and kill me. I kept on running as I reached the house on the next street. I banged on the door as hard as I possibly could, until an old man answered. What are you doing at such a late time, boy? Move! Hey, what's gotten into you, Davy? Mr. Matthews, please just close the door. I'll explain. I'm not doing... Close the door! He eventually complied. You'll probably think I'm crazy, but my parents were arguing, and my dad... I'm gonna call CPS if you don't let my son out of there, you all... Mr. Matthews, please don't let... What's going on, Abraham? Oh Lord, I thought he wasn't married. It's gonna be a bloodbath in here. I decided to go back to running. I ran out of the house via the back door as I heard Mr. Matthews let the demon in the house. I felt like a horrible person as I heard Mr. Matthews and his wife get torn to shreds by that devil. As I ran, I felt as if I was a murderer. I technically caused their deaths, after all. Going into their house is an action that still haunts me to this very day. I'm ashamed to say it, but the death of Mr. Matthews bought me some time. As the demon was eating them, I managed to get far away from the house. I eventually found a man and his family driving back home. I stopped the man and explained my situation. He surprisingly believed me. The man went to his house, which luckily was far from where the demon was. He dropped off his family and then drove to the airport where he parked his car and got me on a flight to Kansas. He knew I couldn't survive alone, so he decided to come with me. He got me an apartment and sent a certain amount of money each month to spend on food. He came to visit every once in a while until he and his family eventually moved to Manhattan and adopted me. I finally had people whom I could call parents again. I finally had a family again. My life went on normally. I graduated college, got a job, moved out, and got married. I had children of my own and would occasionally visit my family every now and then. My adoptive father died back in 2012. Then my mother followed in 2014. I still mourn their loss to this day, but I didn't write all of this to keep people up at night. 3 days ago, I got a call from one of my siblings about a man who broke into their home. I asked if I should come over, but he assured me that they'd be fine and that he had already called 911 and the police were on their way. On top of that, he and his son were both armed. His phone was about to die, so I told him to stay safe before hanging up. I was worried sick that night. I barely put myself to sleep. I woke up the next morning to my son calling me. I went to see what he wanted, when much to my dismay, my worst nightmare had come true. Dad, Uncle Sam is dead. He's dead. I almost dropped dead on the floor as he said that. What do you mean he's dead? I ran over to him. I saw the TV on and the news reporter talking about a deadly burglar that ended the lives of a family of 5. I turned the TV off as I broke down crying. My brother and his entire family were wiped out in the blink of an eye. Not going to his house that night might be the biggest mistake of my life. I eventually stopped crying as my family comforted me. I went on with my day and contacted a funeral service to arrange my brother's funeral. The next morning I went to the morgue to see his body. It was mutilated. His eyes were popped. His hands were cut off and a massive smile was carved onto his face. I feared that my father, or the demon that possessed him, might still be alive. What if it found me? I was prepared to move out right after the funeral, which was supposed to happen on Saturday the 16th of this month. Worried sick, I was forced to go on with my day. Eventually, night came and I went to bed. I woke up to my daughter's voice this morning. "Dad, someone is at our front porch. He says he wants to see you." I got out of bed and went to the front door. My fears were confirmed as I looked through our Ring camera. I saw my father. He still looked exactly the same as he did 45 years ago. I told my daughter to barricade the door and hide in the master bedroom. I woke my whole family up and told them to hide. I already called 911 and can hear him breaking down our front door as I'm writing this. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, let me know and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel and ring my bell so that you don't miss out on future videos and awesome spine-tingling, goosebump-giving stories. If you don't do these things, the like button will haunt your dreams and stalk your days forever.